Joe, tell us about this video you're dropping this week. Tell us about it.
So this week I'm dropping a video, and it is 10 keys for the MCU that I think are good possible speculation books that are currently flying under the radar, affordable, whatever you want to call it, under $20. Some of these books you can find in dollar bins. You might not know about these keys because they're not the keys that other channels usually talk about. I always try to find my own thing to talk about because everyone all day can be like, oh yeah, America Chavez is coming, pick up Vengeance 1. Yeah, the first appearance of a character who we know is coming, very obvious. How about other types of keys, including second appearances, including, yeah, you'll see. We'll talk about a couple different ones in a little bit.
Okay, excellent. By the way, if you're not following Joe on the Instagram as well, it's as easy as this. But the link is down below. And I got to say, we got to give props. We got to give props to Brian Wilson. He left to go sub you up. We got to give props to Neil Floyd. Moving on. Yeah. Let's get into it right now, because I guess this is like an exclusive here because you haven't even dropped the video yet. And we're going to get over 5 of your picks out of 10, I think.
5 out of 10. The video is coming out at some point this week. Whenever I get to it, we'll find out.
You're a busy man.
Yeah,
you're a busy man.
Very busy.
All right, here we go. So why don't we let's just kick it off? We'll kick it off. Your segment, Joe. Go for it.
Sounds good. All right. So, there's a lot of books out there. There's several keys for every single character. Some of them have to do with their relations to other characters. Some of them have to do with different activities they participate in, so on and so forth. And I like to look outside the box of just the first appearances or, the first appearances in costume, the ones that, kind of everyone knows about. So some of these are, in fact, first appearances, but they have connections otherwise outside of that exact first appearance. So we'll kick it off here with a really awesome book, Avengers Annual number 21. Now, this is part of the Citizen Kang run, which is a bunch of books from 1992's annual runs. And it spanned, all the major titles, Thor, Avengers, yada, yada, yada. You could tell by that blue box at the top. They all have that kind of light blue. So if you're looking in bins, you should be able to see these. This one, I think, is particularly the best one out of those. And these are, by the way, in dollar bins everywhere. I have not spent more than $1 on this book, and I think I have close to 20 copies at this point. Because I'm picking this one up whenever I can. It's the first appearance of the Anachronauts, who is a mercenary team that is hired by Kang. But more importantly than that, in my opinion, it's also the first time Kang goes by the alias of Victor Timely. And I think that would be a really cool way to introduce him to the MCU, to our more street level characters, because, as far as like the cosmic and the, temporal characters and stuff like that, the magic users, showing up as a Kang or a Kang variant might be, appropriate. But his persona of Victor Timely, who is a businessman, obviously very corrupt businessman from what we know about Kang, could be a really great way to introduce him to some of the more street level characters. And I think that would be just an awesome little nod to this run in the comics. And if you're looking for other keys to check out, definitely there's a couple others in the Citizen Kang timeline that also have some minor significance to them.
This is, again, I like your thinking here. This is outside the box. Vengeance number 1. Sure, everybody knows about that. Nobody knows about this, including me. I didn't know much about this. This alias of Kang. I do remember these annuals back in the early 90s where they would have those blocks. Like Atlantis Attacks was another one, probably the year before.
91.
But this is an excellent recommendation especially for something you can find so cheap. Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, one book in, and I already like where Joe's going. I like to talk about books in a similar way, books that are affordable, books that nobody's talking about, and we're not sitting here trying to say, hey guys, go find these books in the dollar bins because you're gonna get rich, But there's spec value there to be had. We know that with instantaneous information these days, with so many collectors having so many, databases and YouTubers at their fingertips, we are interested in finding more and more of these smaller characters or story arcs or first appearances. And that means something to us, maybe financially as an investment and intrinsically because we dive into the stories and we dive into these characters. I definitely think the Citizen Kang story arc in general is a really good one to go after because, like Joe said, they're all super, super cheap. And I hear you. I mean, with what the MCU was doing, and we were just talking about this in the news segment with how they're, the MCU is doing what the comic books is doing right now. Something for everyone. They're fleshing it out. So, and we know Jonathan Majors, we've already seen a different incarnation, and that they're already planning on using multiple with him. And he's such a great actor that could take on these different personas. So this could absolutely be one of them. And I think, Joe, to your point, if he does take on that persona, that is something that I think could really drive the value of this book up even more. But again, what I like to say about these books too is even if you're in it for speculation or investment, it's low risk because you can go to a comic shop, spend $1, $2, $3, $4, whatever. And if at the end of the day, nothing pans out, you're not going to break your bank or, cry about it. So
absolutely.
Right.
And I do want to remind everybody, as I will after each book we show, Joe is dropping a video this week that will have 10. We're only showing you 5, so it's a little tease. And Joe is nice enough to, to talk about them here first. But again, follow Joe, Threesixty Comics, down below so you can watch this video later. Before we move on, I have to acknowledge a comment because I kind of agree that we need to give props to your hat, Joe.
Oh, this hat. I don't know if I told the story on this on live here at all, but basically what happened was I was at a flea market and I forgot to put sunscreen on, and being a bald guy, that can be very dangerous. So I bought a random hat for a guy from a guy, and actually I ended up tipping him $2. I was like, keep the change. It was $8, and I gave him 10, and I was like, this is, what, I like this hat, and I'm wearing it. And it ended up in one of my videos, and people were commenting like, "Oh, cool hat, man!" And my wife hates it, so it is. I have dubbed it my comic book hunting hat, and I've been wearing it for like live streams and stuff. But
outstanding. If it was Adidas, Run DMC would be, obviously you'd be the 4th member of Run DMC, but it is Nike, no problem there. But I appreciate it, and I'm sure Chris does as well. Yeah. Next up, what do we got?
Yeah, so next up, we got new X-Men number 133. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, not only is this a book that I've picked up in various haul videos and collection purchases, but it also was in one of my spec videos months and months and months ago. And the reason I'm bringing it back is because I'm doubling down on this book now. And the reason for that is, what we found out at the end of Miss Marvel. And that is that Miss Marvel is a mutant, it seems. And, this character, Dust, this is her first appearance, new X-Men 133. She is a mutant, obviously, as well as a character of the Islamic faith. And you can see on the cover, one of the things I really love about this book is she is, shown on the cover in that traditional Muslim garb. I forget the exact word for it, but with only the
hijab
eyes showing. Yeah, hijab, is that it? Yeah, or burqa is which I forget which one is which. One just allows for the eyes to be shown. The other one is more of the whole face. And I apologize that I forget which one. But having another Islamic character in Kamala Khan and having her also be a mutant could be even more of a reason to introduce this character so they can, relate in that way. Maybe they end up, as friends, as partners, something like that. I just think that would be a really cool way to introduce this character.
By the way, just want to clarify, the hijab it covers the hair, neck, and sometimes a woman's shoulders and chest. The burqa is an enveloping garment that comes in a variety of designs, but typically covers a woman's face and head entirely. So this would be a burqa.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, definitely. This book it's been up and down. I've seen it like in stores and stuff for as low as like $10 to $20. But then every once in a while, like I've also seen it in a dollar bin if a place just kind of throws most of their modern stuff in dollar bins because it's not super well known. But it's a first appearance in an X-Men book, and it's got this great cover as well.
Yeah, no doubt. That is a good cover. Yeah, honestly, I didn't collect during this time, and this is valuable information for me, and you can connect the dots in a way. Yeah, it's spec, and spec is about guessing, educated guess. Most of the time it's educated guess. Let's put it that way. Joe, it's educated guessing here, but I like how these dots connect here. Chris, you?
I agree. Again, this a lot of validity here in what Joe says, and I don't want to just echo him and repeat the same thing. Again, though, to Joe's picks and what he's showcasing here, low risk, because I was just looking online right there. There's plenty of copies under $20, and if it doesn't pan out, I think it's still this was a good run to read. I love the cover too, and you don't break your bank. But the main thing I want to point out here is anybody can really take books like this and do what Joe is doing here, because we all get so hyped up on waiting for these top 10 lists or waiting for the trailer or the Easter egg, and then we go nuts and the book starts doing this, then we get the FOMO where it's like, guys, watch the shows, read the books, check out your Marvel indexes, go to Marvel fandom, even read your Marvel wikis, whatever. And you could put pieces together to say, I can make some low risk spec or investment decisions and collecting decisions and be ahead of the curve. So again, 2 books down, and I'm really liking what Joe's doing because of that factor right there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Just to fortify what Chris said is, my buddy Jim over at Bronzeville Comics, he always says if you're buying it when it's on the top 10 list, it's too late. It's much better to get it before it makes it to the top 10 list.
The bus has left the station. Absolutely. Again, follow Joe. We got to get to 2012 followers. Otherwise, we are canceling the canon. Also, just follow us because we'd appreciate that too if you can. As well. Also, this video is dropping sometime this week. Joe's 10 picks here, and Jesse Lynch cannot wait to watch the video. So you better be following Joe at Threesixty Comics. The link is down below. It's super easy. All right, Joe, we have a third pick from you, and what is it?
This one's Avengers number 231, and the reason being is that it is the first meeting of Eros and She-Hulk. Eros is the real name of the character codenamed Star Fox, who we did see at the end of the Eternals movie in the end credit scenes. Obviously, we saw She-Hulk debut this week, so both of these characters have dipped their toes into the MCU at this point. In the comic books, they have a long on-again, off-again relationship. They are very closely linked together in a lot of storylines. And I don't think it is a coincidence that they are being introduced around the same time, because I think that will probably be, one of their, points in the storyline, that they have this relationship. And they can do a lot of things that are really fun with that, especially, given, Eros, his, personality of being this like charming man, as well as like what we saw of She-Hulk already being this very feisty, independent woman. And I think they would, clash very nicely as a couple.
100%. I have a fun story here, guys, with this book. I remember picking this up as a kid in a comic book shop. I have no idea what drew me to this book, but I picked it up and I read it, and I flipped out because I'm from the state of Delaware, it's 20 minutes outside of Philly.
We're sorry.
Stop it. Joe, we've connected before many times on Philly sports, right? Stop right now, because I don't want that to disconnect at any point. Okay?
I'm just envious of your no sales tax there. So.
There you go. They say Delaware in this book, where a Quinjet is flying over the state of Delaware. So I can tell you right now, guys, that makes it even more valuable to people who are from Delaware. Delaware is the first state. It's not the largest state.
Wow.
It's not the smallest state. It's close to the smallest state. But letting you know there's a lot of value in that.
So, Jeff, so you're saying that people should spec on this book simply because it mentions Delaware?
I did not just say that. You did. Chris, your thoughts on this book?
Yeah. This is another one. I may even, Joe, you're gonna get me. You're pumping and dumping on some books I got here. I think I got one for sale here. I'm about to go list it. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll take it.
Yeah, right. This is a book that, when you think about Spec, like there was one that came up on one of the recent top 10 lists. It was the first appearance of Jack of Hearts, because there was some obscure person in the background of She-Hulk, and I'm like, nobody cares about Jack of Hearts, and now this book is selling because of just the FOMO Spec hype. This book, though, is one of those books that, again, very affordable, $3-4 book maybe for the most part, even in dollar bins, depending on the condition. This is something that if the MCU actually does this right with these two characters, and I agree with you, Joe, I think it's just a matter of time. It's going to happen, and I think the dynamic can be really, really awesome and done extremely well. This is one of those things that we as collectors can go back to this book and now create an inherent value that wasn't there before, because we value the books first, and then we see them come alive on screen. Like that's how I felt about the Infinity Saga and Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet, all that stuff, right? You see it on screen, but it reminds you of the books that you loved when you were a kid. So now we're going back to the books. I don't know how many of us cared about this when we were kids. I sure as hell didn't. Jeff, you only cared about it because it talked about Delaware.
That's no. I see the value. No, in what?
Right.
Let me just.
But as someone that didn't care about this as a kid, if I see this done in the MCU and it's done right, like I'm gonna want to go back to this book, and it's gonna mean something to me. And let me tell you one example of a character that did that for me, and that is Kamala Khan. I looked at Kamala Khan and like her powers. Like I was never a big fan of Reed Richards because I'm like, a stretchy person, and it's just like it's not for me. But when I started diving into the character in the show, it made me want to go back and start reading the story. So I think that can happen here. And again, I think this is a really awesome under the radar. Spend a couple books, buy a copy or two, and call it a day.
Absolutely. Yeah. You said it, this book can be found in dollar bins. I certainly wouldn't pay more than $3 unless it's like a pristine high grade one, a really affordable book that, is just flying under the radar like most of these.
Just like that Quinjet in the panel that says flying over Delaware.
Oh, flying over Delaware.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God!
Somewhere in between, over Delaware, but under the radar, kind of in between the two.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I like that works. All right, guys, again, Joe is dropping this video this week. Be sure to follow his channel at Threesixty Comics. Threesixty Comics. The link is down below. It's that easy. We had 2 more books, though, guys. 2 more books. What is your next book?
So next one is Fantastic Four, number 284. And this is a pretty cool book. And it actually is a really cool key because I think most people, at least most people my age, I'm 32. I grew up in the 90s. I never really referred to Sue Richards as the Invisible Girl. Right. This is the issue where she sheds the Invisible Girl name and starts going by the Invisible Woman, which is really what I knew her as a kid. I had heard here and there the Invisible Girl, but I remember being young and actually thinking that they were 2 different characters.
Right.
So yeah, this is where she actually goes through a traumatic experience and says that she is kind of lost that innocence of being called a girl, and she wanted to go by Invisible Woman now. And I think that was really a commentary on what she had been through and maturing, as well as becoming a stronger person. I think that was really great character development. It's a really good issue. I definitely recommend reading it. And it also has that significance. And particularly, I think that given the age of John Krasinski or whoever else, if he's not actually the Reed Richards of the MCU, whoever it may be, I certainly think that he's going to be married to a woman and not a girl for obvious reasons. So I think that they will utilize that name in the MCU. And, this, again, one of those books that it's in dollar bins and you can find high grade copies for, you know, $3-5.
I love this book. Again, this is another one I picked up as a kid. Surprisingly, it doesn't say Delaware in it, guys. I just like, sorry, I had to burp. I've told the story many times before. When I like early on in my comic book collecting journey, I realized that there are different artists on these comic books and they all have their different styles. And I just ended up falling in love with John Byrne, and I would get these John Byrne books, right? And this is one of them. And I believe he wrote this book too. Am I correct, Joe?
I cannot confirm.
I think he wrote this book as well, and this run on the Fantastic Four is outstanding. And I love what you're saying here, because yes, they're not going to go with Invisible Girl. It's an empowerment kind of thing, and it's a relatability kind of thing. Again, like I saw Dan De La Torre saying, I hope She-Hulk show brings in more women to comics. Again, something like this, bringing more women into comics. Chris, your thoughts?
I like this pick just for the comic book itself. Like, this doesn't, I mean, personally, you know, I think it is pretty obvious that we're going to have an Invisible Woman. I think it's really interesting. Like, Joe, I was the same way. I'm a little older than you, but I was the same way. I always saw Sue as Invisible Woman. And I think this is actually really cool knowledge for anybody that is a fan of Fantastic Four or these characters, that if you haven't read this story arc, to go back and read it. And that speaks to me. And it goes to show, again, regardless of what happens with spec or movie stuff, that alone can drive demand into books and create more intrinsic value there as well. So I like that exists within this book as well.
For sure. Definitely agree with that. Like I said, you know, the investment on this, you know, buying it, whether you're buying it to actually speculate, you know, you'll want to sell it later, or if you're buying it to own a cool key that has to do with something, you know, whether it's in the MCU or not, or you're just buying it to read it. Like, all of these books are valid choices for any of those types of collectors.
And cheap,
under $20.
I mean, come on, it doesn't get better than that. I'm getting sick of reminding people, because I'm getting sick of hearing my voice, which actually happens a lot. But Joe is dropping the full 10 book list this week. This is only 5, and we are on our last one. But you better be following Threesixty Comics down below. Got to hit 2012. I don't know where we are. We're going to check on that after this last book. And what is the last book, Joseph?
What would a Marvel list be without at least one Spider-Man book on there? You notice I tried to spread this out. I had a Fantastic Four book. I had 2 Avengers books, but one had to do with Kang.
How about this? Let's go 1 through 4 one more time just to refresh everybody. We got Avengers Annual number 21. We got new X-Men 133. We got Delaware 231. Avengers 231. Sorry. We got Fantastic Four 284 and
Amazing Spider-Man number 195. Now, this is a pretty obvious one, in my opinion. It is the second appearance of Black Cat. Black Cat, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of my peers, I actually had a big discussion, kind of like a philosophical discussion about the only 2 like really super major Spider-Man characters that have not been utilized in comic books, you know, as far as villains go, are Black Cat and Hobgoblin. They're the 2 biggest by far that have not been utilized in film. You know, they've had appearances, video games, and you know, the animated stuff, but as far as, you know, in live action film, Hobgoblin and Black Cat are like 2 of the only 2 really big ones that haven't been utilized. In my opinion, Black Cat is a better option. The reason being is she was a love interest at one point. She was a partner at one point. She's more of an anti-hero for most of her, you know, the longevity of her existence. But, you know, she also has that villain aspect to her. Now, this is her second appearance. You know, her first appearance is a very expensive book. I just sold a lower grade. I think I had it graded at like a 4 or 5 or something like that. and I sold it for, I think, around just shy of $400. So that book's expensive. Sorry, that not just shy of $200, not $400. But yeah, either way, this second appearance, you can get this book for, if you don't mind a mid-grade copy, like $10, $7, $8, $10, somewhere in there. And you can even get a higher grade copy for $15 to $20. This, in my opinion, is pretty undervalued. And I think we will certainly see this character show up. And, rising tides raises all ships. Not just her first appearance will go up in value if she does appear, especially if she's, received well, but her second appearance and her cool cover appearances and her first solo book from the 90s. So I think this is a really good grab right now and is definitely a lot more affordable than her first appearance.
It's crazy how how the second appearance of Silk is pretty much equivalent in price to this book right here.
Yes.
Right? How crazy is that?
Absurd.
Book, like, Joe, you are on point with this book. They're going to bring her in the MCU in some way, shape, or form. If she, I'm sure Sony may do something with her. Hopefully they don't ruin that. But she's too popular of a character. She's too deep within the Spider-Man mythos. And, it's looking like they're based off of rumors. We don't know if this is fact or not. But the next phase of the Spider-Man story will be him in college. And that's a perfect way to introduce this character. Chris, your thoughts?
I'm gonna tell you right now, I had a Spider-Man sale on Whatnot a few weeks ago. I'm having my part 2 this coming Friday. I am not selling anything Black Cat right now, and I've been watching the numbers. And to what Joe said, this good luck trying to find this book for under $20 for much longer.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not even with an announcement or a casting or anything like that. I mean, these things are moving up right now, and this is, again, second appearances are becoming more and more popular, especially as first appearances continue to increase in value of characters like these. I agree 100%. This is one of the greatest Spider-Man characters created outside of your, Rose Gallery from the Silver Age. You talk about Black Cat and Hobgoblin and Venom, and you could put them all in the same category. Of course, Venom's probably, top of the list there, but still, they've always done such a good job with a lot of these Spider-Man characters. There's so much there for this character in terms of intrinsic value when we're not even talking about, again, movies or TV shows or MCU or anything like that. These books, in my humble opinion, are long-term investments regardless. Now, to your point, Jeff, you said, oh, well, Peter Parker is going to be in college in this next phase. That's not even cracking the surface. Remember, MJ doesn't know who he is right now.
Yeah.
And they're going more street level. There's other factors that are seemingly calling for a Felicia to enter in. And this would be the perfect time. Now, I do believe that it's going to come full circle. I don't think the MCU is going to do what Dan Slott and the Marvel team has done with Spider-Man and MJ, which I'm still freaking like 15 years in. I just want to give it to them. But they're going to get back together in the MCU at some point. Yeah. But until that happens, they need to fill something out. And this is perfect for Peter taking that more mature, darker street tone take. So I am on board with and I'm not just saying that because I just gave away that I'm sitting on some Black Cat books. So I don't want anyone, it doesn't matter. People are going to think what they think. I'm not sitting here pumping and dumping. I'm never telling you guys what to buy or what not to buy. But I truly believe that these books are going to continue to increase until we get some type of announcement or casting. And then, then we might see a natural ebb and flow. Hopefully this is more controlled by Feige and team and not by Sony, because then we might see a real good in something Black Cat. But even if that happens, all of these Spider-Man characters have staying power. The Morbius book took off. It took a good hit because of the movie. I have no problem. If anybody bought Amazing Spider-Man 101 at the peak and they're hurting right now, hold that book, because I guarantee you in between 5 and 10 years, that book is going to be even more than it was where you bought it. So just hold tight. You know, you don't lose until you sell. You're going to be good. I feel that way with a lot of these Spider-Man characters. Black Cat is the truth. I honestly wish that Peter stayed with her instead of going back to Mary Jane, but that's just me. I love the character, and I can't wait to see her in the MCU. Good pick, Joe.
Damn,
Yeah,
Joe,
it should be noted that she was actually supposed to appear in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4, and then she was also supposed to appear not as Black Cat, but just as Felicia Hardy.
She was there.
Yeah. Rogue One. What's her name? The Rogue One.
Rogue One. I can't remember her name. Yeah.
Oh,
what's her name?
Alicia. Is it? Keep going. I'll figure.
I know what you're talking about. But yeah. Anyway, she was supposed to be. There was also supposed to be a solo Sony Black Cat movie back in 2017, and then it got combined with the Silver Sable movie, and then that got canceled outright. Now we're hearing rumors of Silver Sable again. Like, it's just bound to happen at some point. Hopefully, no more cancellations.
And it's Felicity Jones is
there you go.
Actress.
Felicity Jones, that's her name.
With excellent Rogue One. Excellent Rogue One. Hey, Juice Stain Comics. I love the name. What's going on?
Juice Stain Comics.
That's a fantastic name. Joe, man, you did an outstanding job with this this list, which will be a top 10 list or a 10 book list. You don't put it in any kind of order, but you're dropping that this week. Everybody should be following Joe. Threesixty Comics. The link is down below.